Okay, this video is about solving absolute value equations. So if we consider the equation, the absolute value of x is equal to 3. We know that there are two values that make this true. We know that absolute value literally means how far is it from 0. So we know that there are two values of x that are 3 units from 0. 3 is 3 units from 0, and -3 is also 3 units from 0. So there are two values for x that would make this statement be true. X is equal to 3 or x is equal to -3. Those are the two statements that would make this be true. So when you're solving an absolute value equation, there are always going to be two statements that come out. So here's the rule that you follow. The absolute value of x is equal to a when you have a statement like this. In other words, once you've isolated the absolute value expression, then you remove the absolute value signs and you set up two equations. This statement will be true whenever x is equal to a or x is equal to the opposite of a. And so, for instance, if we consider this equation right here, if we have the absolute value of x is equal to, let me see what I want to do here. If we have simply the absolute value of x plus 3 is equal to, let's say, 5. Okay. Right here, this expression, absolute value of x plus 3, this is what my absolute value of x is. And 5 is my value a right here. This is absolute value expression is isolated on the left-hand side of the equation. So when I remove the absolute value signs, I set up these two equations. So this will be x plus 3 is equal to 5, or this is true when x plus 3 is equal to the opposite of 5. Then you solve each of these equations for x to get your final answers. On this equation, I'll just simply subtract 3 from both sides, and I'll get this x is equal to 2. Over here, I will subtract 3 from both sides, and I'll get this is true when x is equal to -8. These are the two answers that I get here. So that this makes sense to you, a lot of people think that you can't get a negative answer when you solve an absolute value. Let's plug this value in, -8, so you can see how this works. -8 plus 3 is equal to -5. And the absolute value of -5 is equal to 5 because -5 is over here, right? And it's 5 units from 0. So the absolute value of -5 is 0. This statement will also be true when we plug in 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. And the absolute value of 5, okay, 5's over here. 5 is 5 units from 0. So you get these two answers here. Example number 2, let's look at this equation. What if they give us 11 minus the absolute value of x plus 6 is equal to 4? Okay, let's solve this one. We're not ready to apply the rule right here yet because the first thing we have to do is isolate or get it by itself on one side of the equation, the absolute value expression. So we have to first get this, the absolute value of x plus 6, by itself. So to do that, we need to subtract 11 from both sides. So we end up with negative the absolute value of x plus 6 is equal to -7. 11 minus 11 is 0. We had negative absolute value of x plus 6 is equal to 4 minus 11 is -7. This is not fully isolated. Now we have to divide both sides by a -1. Negative divided by negative is positive. We get the absolute value of x plus 6 is equal to +7. Now we can apply the rule. So we will remove the absolute value signs and set up two equations. X plus 6 is equal to 7, or x plus 6 is equal to the opposite of 7. Now we solve for x. We subtract 6 from both sides here, and we'll get x is equal to 1. The other answer we'll get is we subtract 6 from both sides here, and we'll get x is negative 13. All right, the third example we're going to do is if they give us this one, the absolute value of x plus 5 plus 2 is equal to 10. Let's solve this one. We have to first isolate the absolute value expression, which is x plus 5. So we need to subtract 2 from both sides of this equation. We get the absolute value of x plus 5 is equal to 8. Now this looks like this, so we're ready to apply the rule. Remove the absolute value expression and set up your two equations. X plus 5 is equal to 8, or x plus 5 is equal to the opposite of 8. Now solve each of these for x. Subtract 5 from both sides and we get x is 3. Subtract 5 from both sides and we get x is negative 13. So those are a few examples for solving absolute value equations.